I talk to a lot of business owners. It's as if they completely miss this. And there are two types of people: those who are in this, I'm roughly categorizing those who are aware of what design principles are, like how design works. So primarily, if they work in engineering or some field like that, they will understand, or architecture or something like that, they would understand design. And those who don't know how to create designs, or they don't know how to, they don't just don't have the training. But even aside from that, I've met people who have come from design fields, but they screw up completely when it comes to their life, when it comes to design. It's as if they apply it to the beautiful machine or beautiful system that they're creating, but when they go home, it's like they compartmentalize that information completely. And for me, I feel like one of the reasons why I've been able to design my life is actually from engineering. Like at least the skill sets, I had that kind of mind to begin with, but the skill sets that I learned, it helped me more. So I want to talk a little bit about that. How do we integrate our life and business? And this is really important. And so one of two things happens. Like somebody might be really good at integrating their business systems. And it's not just one business. I meet business owners who have multiple different businesses going on. They'll have a coffee thing going on. They'll have a restaurant. They'll have online business going on. They'll have some weed thing going on the side. Like they have 4 separate businesses. When I ask them, like, how do these connect with each other? They're like, they don't. I'm just busy with all of them. I'm like, why aren't they connecting? And I want to give you this analogy. If you were to like look at this, I've given this before. Some people liked it. If you were to open up this mic and you find some wood chips, would you? What would you think? You'd be like, something is off with this design. And people have wood chips in their life and they don't notice it. Now, when you expand it a little bit more, you add your life to it. Now, when you're looking at your business, does your lifestyle work with your business or businesses? Like if you're creating the kind of life where you want more time freedom, and all of a sudden you jump into a business where it's going to take you another 6 years to maybe hire somebody to manage that business, maybe, that's probably not a good design. It's probably not a good idea. So then how do we think of cohesive design in our life? So for one thing, many of you were at the event where I walked you through the vision helps you kind of bring everything together, but you still have to do a little bit of thinking. One way you can think of cohesive design is to really, you're planning out across time and space in a sense, like what's happening in your life. So what in your day-to-day life, what would you ideally want? And when you're looking at your life design 5 years out or 3 years out, is this business or these multiple businesses you're creating, is this supporting that life or is it not? Is it working with your life? And I'll expand that even more. Even your businesses that you're working on, are they interacting with each other? Do they have a long-term cohesive design? So for example, I have a mastermind for coaches, and then I have this mastermind. So there are 2 separate ones. One is for coaches, one is for this, but they're actually very connected long-term. So what does that mean? When I'm working with coaches in the mastermind, we're actually helping train these coaches, support them to get better in their skill sets in business. And then as they get better, we're developing these contracts with these other organizations and communities and masterminds where we send coaches from that to this. So this mastermind is one of those companies that's going to contract out coaches from my other mastermind. While my attention is in both of those businesses, they're not separate things. They're a cohesive part of my businesses, and they both work with my lifestyle as well. They work with my lifestyle because I can pretty much run them from anywhere from the world. I have a team in both of them. At least more so on the coaching mastery side, I'm developing more of it in this mastermind, as you can see with Jens's team. So everything works with each other. Now, here's the third point, and this is really important, and this is experimentation. And this is where a lot of people, like, it's actually fairly fun to think about design. It's fairly fun to look at your life and look at all the stuff that you want to create, unless you have some pain around that. But putting it to work is a whole different story. I just finished reading this book. Like when I went to Denver, I started it. I read half of it on the plane. that way and the other half this way. It was an incredible book, very powerful book by Steve Chandler. Crazy good. Basically, it talks about, well, what does it take to create a crazy good life? And he goes into everything. Basically, it's a book of choices. What are the choices available to us? And one of those choices he talks about is experimentation. In fact, his coach, in a funny way, sent him a lab coat and goggles. And as he was writing this up, he's like, as I'm talking to you, I'm wearing both of them because it's symbolic of what life is about. It's experimentation. Just because you create a design doesn't work. Anybody who's for example, come from an engineering world, I still remember the first design in college that we created. It took us a whole semester to build design this thing with a whole team. The next semester, we had to go to the machine shop to make it work. We go there and we kind of pull up the 3D model and all the 2D renders of it, and like a whole book in there. And we're talking to the professor. He looks at it. It took him about 10-15 minutes. He looks at it. He looks at us. He's like, yeah, you're going to have to redo this whole thing. I'm like, what the? It took us a whole semester to do that, thing. He's like, none of this stuff will work in real life. And you have a budget here, and you have within that budget and within the practicality of how we manufacture things, the stuff won't work. And it just hit me in that moment. I'm like, holy shoot, we were not looking at how designs can work in real life. And even then, as we started redesigning it, we started kind of beating it up. Like, we had to change a lot of stuff. Some of the materials weren't working. Some of the machining principles weren't working. So, like, some of the design principles were flawed. So experimentation means once you have the design, you put it out there and you play with it. You keep beating it up. And that means that within your design, there are other people's concepts come in too. Whether that's your spouse, whether that's your business partner, other people, they will incorporate their stuff in it too. Would it work there? The reason why I'm sharing this is that if you get anything out of this idea is that if there's any part of your life where something doesn't fit into the bigger design of your life, personal and professional, more than likely you've held on to that because of a fear. Because of this thing is that, oh, it's a big opportunity, I will never get that, because of some kind of FOMO. Even if it's a great opportunity, does that align with you? Is that who you are? Are you going to play well in that space, whether it's a business or a friendship or a collaboration? If it's not, more than likely, it's probably not the right path for you to go. That's why we check in with our vision. That's why we check in with our values. That's why we check in with the kind of people that we work with. And many of us were at the Pay It Forward event. There were a lot of people there. Not everyone's my cup of tea. I'm not everybody's cup of tea either. And I'm okay with that. And neither are you. And that's okay. And as long as you have enough space and time for you to kind of get to know people, do I really want to work with this person? And move that conversation and really experiment. How is this person when I'm working with them in small scale? Does this person have the work ethic that I want? Does this person have the patience? Does this person have the communication style, and is he or she working to develop that more? Does this person see a similar world as I do? In the sense that, are they developing to create a business, for example, that gives them time freedom, or he just wants to work more and more and more? All those questions will help you answer, okay, who do I want to work with? And that, again, you need to be clear about your path. Because if you're not clear about your vision, your strategic plan, then nothing works. And so the next few weeks, we're going to be going through the whole process of vision building, strategic goal setting, communicating your vision. And then we'll have an extra session, the fourth session, where we'll bring everything together. This is the first time I'm doing that. It's basically, so by the end of the year, you're ready to tackle your goals in all of it. You're not just hoping that they come to fruition. You are creating something that feels aligned with you. And you're going to get perspective from other people who are trying to create the same thing too. And at this point, I've decided that I'm going to go through this in the mastermind at least 3 times a year. And it takes a good chunk of our time and efforts, but I feel like it's worth it, because the more you get connected back to your vision, to your strategic goals, the more you see like what kind of people we feel aligned with, the more you see the bigger design and the more you see what's in it, then you have a chance to look at it. Okay, let me make some decisions. Are the people in my life part of that vision? If they're not, then you need to share it. Do they want to be part of that vision? Whether that's your business partners or life partners, are the things that I'm doing, do they feel aligned with me? If they do, great. How can I amplify it? If they don't, maybe there are decisions that need to be made. It's like, maybe this business is not for me, or this project is not for me. And I've seen this over and over. Like, people have just, like, when they have realized that right in the middle of a business where things are going well, they just take off. They're like, I didn't even see that, because I never thought about it.